We're dealing with a serious problem here in New Jersey. A very serious TNR problem, a very serious spay and neuter problem.
Stella, Splash, Simba, Hydrox, Ditto, and Boo. The Lucky Ferals.
It's 5:55 a.m. I just got up about 10 minutes ago. Stella just woke up. She was sleeping in the penthouse. Here's Simba and Boo. All the cats are kind of on edge because Sammy started flipping out last night. And the last time I checked on him, he pretty much destroyed everything that was in the trap. Like, he dug all of the litter out of the little litter box, and everything was all just tossed around. He was really trying to get out of that trap, and he was making a lot of noise when he was trying to do that. So he was also, you know, crying and howling. So it was not good, but it reached the point where I was like, well, I can't really do anything to soothe him. I can't be awake all night with him. I needed to get some sleep so I could physically function today. So I think I might have fallen asleep around 1:30 in the morning, which would have given me about 4 hours of sleep, because I woke up today a little bit before 5:30, and I tried to hit a snooze button. And now I got the 3 cats. So I'm going to get dressed, and then I'm going to check on Sammy. I feel like once I start checking on him, he might start wanting to break out and start meowing and howling again. Hopefully he did not injure himself last night, and I don't think there was anything in the trap that could have hurt him. So hopefully everything is okay. Right, guys? It's 6:45 a.m. All the cats are up, and they're like, what's going on? I just checked on Sammy. He's been quiet, which is good. And he is in the trap portion of his cage area. And he's laying on the blanket. I put, one of Ditto's baby blankets in there, one of the ones from the Dollar Tree. So he's laying on that. Everything is all disheveled. There's litter everywhere. The litter box is pretty much empty. He emptied it out. Yeah, the blanket's in the water. It's just a mess. So I think what I'm going to do is go in there, clean it up a bit, and give him some fresh water. He has no water to drink right now. It's now 7:30 a.m. The cats have been fed, and I'll take care of the rest of the cat chores when I get back. And this is what's going on in here. This is all the dirty stuff that was in the trap and the transfer cage. So this is the towel that I had on top, and then this is some of the torn up newspaper. This is the torn up training pad, and look at this. This is all torn up. So yeah, he was really struggling last night. He had a challenging night. I've cleaned out the transfer cage, so there's some newspaper and there's a training pad. I'm hoping to use this to take him to the vet. And there he is now. He's so cute. He's just like hanging out. I gave him fresh water, but I think he's too stressed out to eat. So what I had to do to get him over here versus here, because this is where he was hanging out, I had to just tilt up the top of the edge here, and he went over there. So I'm hoping I could just tilt up this edge and he'll go over there, because this is really, I'd like to take him to the vet in this transfer cage. It's smaller, it's more portable, and I think he'll feel better in it. He'll feel more secure. So I keep calling this a fork, but it's actually called an isolator. And I was able to move him out of that corner. He didn't want to move. So I put the fork in from the top, and I angled it like that part of the trap is angled, and I just gently scooted him, and he ran right over. So I have the isolator in here now. It definitely works better when you put it through horizontally. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the connector, and put the other door in, secure it, and then we're ready to go. So far, mission is accomplished. We're exactly where we want to be right now. The next step is to take him out to the car and to head over to the vet. I don't want to go too early because they don't open until 8, and I don't really feel like sitting in the car with a cat that's freaking out. I don't know how he's going to be in the car. I don't know if he's going to start howling and freaking out or if he's just going to be really quiet and scared. So I'm going to leave myself just enough time to get there. Even if I'm 5 minutes late, I don't think it's going to make a difference because they don't open until 8, and then I'm sure I'm not going to be the only one there. And they're going to have, like, I hope there's not a lot of paperwork. So we're on our way to the vet, and he's being really quiet right now, which is kind of eerie to me. I don't know, I guess I prefer it when cats howl all the way, because usually when they don't, it means they're not feeling very well. Well, he's obviously totally stressed out. It's raining, it's cold out. The weather's really bad, and yeah, hopefully we'll be there soon. I am very thankful that I ordered these transfer cages because it's just so much easier transferring him in this versus the larger trap. So we just made it to the vet's office. Sammy has not made a peep in the car, so I hope everything is going to go okay today. So I just dropped Sammy off. It was really nice. I got to speak to the vet and the vet techs. They were all super nice. They explained everything that they were going to do. So he or she is going to get a rabies shot, distemper. They're going to be spayed, neutered, TNR'd. I told them to go really lightly on the ear tip. And I have to call back in the afternoon. And they said I could come back and pick up him or her between 4 and 6. So fingers crossed everything goes well. They're going to give he or she a full exam. So I'm sitting here in my car and I'm waiting for a store to open. It's not even 9 a.m. yet. And I want to talk about how broken the TNR system in the state of New Jersey is. So I dropped Sammy off at the vet and I was quoted a certain price over the phone, which was in addition to the amount of money that I spent on these certificates from this animal group. So I paid money for these certificates, like I think it was like $130 for the male, $185 for the female. And these are spay neuter certificates. They're supposed to give you a discounted rate on spays and neuters. Now, I did something like that with Stella, Splash and Simba. I ordered the certificates online, which I think were probably like half the price that they are now. And when I took them in to get the spay and neuter, it wasn't all that much more than what I paid for the certificates. It was, I don't know, maybe $100 more. It was not much more, maybe $200 more maximum. So after I drop Sammy off, after I leave, I get a phone call and it's the animal hospital. And they're like, well, we just want to go over the billing with you and let you know that the total cost is going to be $730. I was like, is that before you take off the amount of money for the certificates, or is that with the certificates? And she's like, that's in addition to the certificates. So I already paid either $130 or $185, and they're going to charge me another $730 on top of that. So we're talking nearly $1,000 to get a TNR done. So I was like, well, that's not what you guys told me over the phone. Over the phone, I was quoted $300 or $400. You know, that's a big difference. So then she tells me, well, it's because it's a TNR and we have to charge, it's like $200 to sedate the cat before they can even do anything to it. And then they charge like for the ear tip, and like she was going over everything. And I was like, okay. And I was like, okay. I was not going to be like, no, I'm not doing it. And then going back and, you know, taking the cat. I was like, okay, do whatever you need to do, whatever. It's fine. Whatever. I was like, I'll just rethink all the additional surgeries that I have to get done. So that was the end of that conversation. And then she calls me back like 5 minutes later to tell me they're going to give me a discount. They're going to do the ear tipping for free. So that'll bring it down to $610. So it was like $120 for an ear tipping. $120 to tip a cat's ear. ridiculous. I mean, absolutely crazy. So where it stands right now is they're going to charge me $610 on top of the money that I paid for the certificates. What's bothering me most of all is that there's no transparency here. When I called them to schedule this, they didn't tell me how much it was going to be. They give me an estimate of $300 to $400. Now they're telling me that it's actually twice the cost of what they quoted me on the phone. So that's ridiculous. And obviously anyone who has to deal with more than like 1 or 2 cats, this adds up really fast. Thankfully, I have this YouTube channel and I have the Patreon, and I do put money aside for an emergency fund. So I am more capable than many other people to cover the costs of these surgeries, even though it is a stretch. But for an average person to do this kind of stuff, I mean, it's completely cost prohibitive. On top of the fact that animal control has a waiting list 5 pages long, so I'm going to be lucky if they even get back to me by December. And the other rescue group only can give me 2 tickets, and the earliest appointments I could get from them is the end of December, which is 3 months away. We're dealing with a serious problem here in New Jersey, specifically Bergen County, where I'm located. A very serious TNR problem, a very serious spay and neuter problem. Like, the system is completely overwhelmed and it needs to be reworked and potentially just remanaged, reorganized. I mean, something is being done wrong somewhere. Maybe they're not having enough fundraisers. I don't know. It is absolutely ridiculous that if someone wants to have a TNR done, they can't go through any local rescues because the rescues can't handle it. And then they have to schedule everything themselves, and then they have to pay for it all out of pocket themselves. Things are broken. Things are very, very broken. It's ridiculous. It's about 10 a.m. right now. I just got home a few minutes ago and I started cleaning up the room, and I'm going to reuse whatever I can reuse because Sammy's already going to be comfortable with whatever is out here. Like, I don't want to introduce new smells if I don't have to. So I'm going to reuse these training pads. They didn't absorb anything. They're just, you know, a little worn out from being under the recovery cage or the transport cage. And I stopped off at the Dollar Tree on the way home, and I bought some more of these plastic containers, and I scooped up whatever litter was scoopable outside of, you know, where it was all over the place. And I put it back in here. He did not pee or poop at all last night, or maybe she, I don't know if it's a he or she. So this is all reusable. And if it's a male cat, they suggest using shredded newspaper in a litter box when it comes back. So I do have a shredder in my garage, so I'm going to go out and shred some newspaper in a little while. Meanwhile, I am going to vacuum up this mess, clean everything else up the best I can clean it up, and get on with my day. It's 10:15. I put a platter of crunchies out because it's raining, and it looks like it's Ringo and Nancy. Yeah, and they finished the whole platter, so I'm gonna put more dry food out. I figure if the dry food gets wet, it just gets softer, and if I put wet food out, you know, sometimes when wet food gets even more wet, the cats don't even eat it. It's 11:45 a.m. and Simba was nudging me. He's like, get off the computer. I've been doing lots of research and making more phone calls with regards to getting the cats spayed and neutered. And look who's on the bed right now. It's Splash, Boo, and Stella. It's the perfect day to spend laying in bed and sleeping. It's cold, it's rainy, it's just a yucky day. So I've been calling around to local vets and animal hospitals to see who can do TNRs for feral cats. Some just say no, they can't do it. Others say One of them said they could do it, but the earliest would be mid-November, which is about 6 weeks from now. And then another one just kept me on hold for like 15 minutes. I was like, okay, that's not good. And then another one, I found out that the main vet is one of the people that do the majority of cat declawing in this state. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to support a vet that declaws cats. That's not going to happen. I contacted another rescue group. One of my neighbors gave me a heads up about them, so we'll see if they get back to me. They say that they're not intaking any cats or kittens at this time. They're full. So I'm just trying to get information with regards to spaying and neutering from them. And then I also applied for another spay neuter program. I'm waiting to hear back from them. So it should not be this difficult for someone to spay and neuter feral cats. It should not be this difficult to TNR cats. It's ridiculous, because if I'm having these issues, there's really no wonder why just like an average person would have even worse issues who, doesn't normally deal with this kind of stuff. So there's a serious problem around here. And what this whole experience is doing is it's really like opening my eyes to what a horrible problem there is. I knew there was a vet shortage, but the issue with like all the local rescues and animal helping organizations, it's just really backlogged and it's very unorganized. It's just horrible. And a lot of the information on the internet is no longer correct. So you'll be referred to a list of providers, and then some might be out of business. Some might no longer be handling this kind of stuff. It's just all over the place, and it's not right. What it has also done is really alerted me to like which organizations I will no longer be donating to. So in the past, I've donated whether it's food or money or cat items or items that the cats don't need or don't use. I've donated to pretty much almost every local organization around here in some way over like the past 10 years. And now like my eyes are really open to who I will no longer be supporting. It's about 12 p.m. and I was just out in the garage shredding a bunch of newspaper. So hopefully this will be fine. They're really, really long shreds. That's how the shredder does it. It's kind of an old shredder. So I'm going to put this in one of those litter box trays that I bought. I bought like 5 more today. And if it's a boy, they say if it's a boy, you should do the newspaper, and then if it's a girl, they could just use regular litter. As far as Splash, Simba, and Stella, they just use regular litter and there are no problems. My concern is that because this is a very small space and the cat was actually laying in the litter box, I think even if it is a girl, I'm going to use the shredded paper either way. I think it'll just be better for the incision. So one other thing that I bought today were these bowls. I found these in the local supermarket and I measured them across. I took them to the aisle that has like the notebooks and the rulers, and I measured them across and they should be less than 10 inches across. So I'm gonna see if these fit in the trap. So obviously they fit if I put them this way, which might be nice. The cat could then like walk past them versus bowls here, then the cat has to walk over them. So I think maybe that'll be the plan. I'm just trying to think what's going to be the neatest option. I'm glad I used the ceramic water bowls, because if I was not using ceramic, if I used something lighter, they'd probably be tipped all over the place and it would have been a bigger mess than it was. So I'm hoping that even though this is plastic, if it has water in it and if there's food in it, then it's just going to be bigger and harder to just kind of make a giant mess. And it should be easier to clean up just, removing this one piece. But I do like to have options, so that's why I picked up everything that I picked up the other day. I'd rather have options available, especially if they're inexpensive options, than, be stuck with a situation where I don't have options. It's 2 p.m. and I just called the vet to check in on Sammy, and they told me that she's resting comfortably. And I said, so does that mean she's a girl? And she looked at the paperwork and she says, well, it says spayed. So she's like, I guess so. And I was like, okay, well, that's good to know. So what I'm finding as I talk to these vets' offices and animal hospitals is that the people that answer the phones don't always give you the correct information, and they don't always know everything that's going on around them. So it's always better to ask a lot of questions and to be very specific with your questions, and then to even ask them to go check. Because I was talking to one vet today, a vet's office, and the woman who answered the phone was like, no, we don't do TNRs. And we were talking about additional costs. And she's like, well, and then if the cat's feral, it costs more money for a sedative. And I was like, oh, okay, so you do TNRs. And she goes, well, no, we don't really do that. I said, well, what about an ear tip? Do you guys do ear tips? She goes, I don't think we do. I said, can you check? So she goes and she checks, and then she comes back and she goes, oh yeah, we do ear tips. And she gave me the pricing, and she goes, so yeah, we do TNR. These people, I'm like, what is wrong with everything? Like right now I'm in the mood where like, what is wrong with everything? Because I don't know. I don't understand why people are not given the correct information or don't bother to find out the correct information. I don't get it. Like, it's like when you go to a retail store and there are people there and you ask them for help and they're like, well, I just work here, I don't know. Yeah, well, you just work here. It means you should know, you should find out, and you should educate yourself about that. So, yeah, I think the weather is really not helping my mood today, and also the lack of sleep is not helping my mood today. But I'm really happy that hopefully the surgery went well, everything will go smoothly. The fact that Sammy is a girl means she's going to potentially spend more time in recovery than if she was a boy. So I'm just taking it one day at a time. We're going to see how it goes. People are giving me information that's completely contradictory to each other. Some people are saying, oh, when a girl gets back, you don't need to keep her inside at all, which is wrong, because if they're still under anesthesia, you should at least keep them inside for 24 hours. Other people are saying, well, you should keep them inside for up to a week just to make sure their incisions are healing properly. And other people are saying, no, you don't want to do that. You only want to do 48 hours because it's too stressful on the cat. So, I mean, it's just such a range of information. So all I'm going to do is take one day at a time and see what the situation brings and act accordingly. Obviously, if the cat is freaking out every night, it's going to go outside sooner than if it was more calm, because I don't want it to hurt itself. I don't want it to potentially rip out any stitches. One thing that the vet did tell me is that they're going to use stitches that don't need to be removed. So hopefully it'll be like Stella stitches, where they just like dissolve on their own, and maybe surgical glue. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I get to pick her up at 5 p.m. So here is the trap, and here's what I just did. I just put one of those containers that I'm using as a litter box filled up with the shredded newspaper, and I put it in the trap portion. And what I'm thinking is she's going to get back, she's going to be in the transfer cage, and I just want her to be as comfortable as possible. So I'd rather her just hang out in the transfer cage and not have to move if she doesn't want to. And then if she wants to, she can come over here and lay in this container with the paper. What I also realized is that these plastic containers remind me very much of the other plastic containers from the Dollar Tree that were a bit bigger that I had outside for Stella and the kittens, and they used them as beds. And when Stella first came inside, she slept in them as a bed. And I used them as cat beds for quite a while because the cats just really, really like sleeping in them. So I'm thinking maybe that's why she was also laying in the box yesterday. And it had litter in it, so it was very comfortable for her. It was clean. It reminded her of the dirt outside. So I'm not doing litter. I'm just doing the shredded paper That should be okay, hopefully. If I need to, I could always then, like if she ends up laying in here, and if I needed to, I could then put another one in this transfer cage. So I have this one and I have 4 others. I bought some extras. And if I need to go to the Dollar Tree and buy even more, I can. They didn't have many left though, so I'm taking it one day at a time. I'm just going to see how this goes. This is going to be a new experience for her as well as me, and every cat is going to be different. That's what I'm anticipating. I'm anticipating every cat having different behaviors and quirks and personalities and issues. So, you know, what she's dealing with now and the way she's behaving will probably be different than the other cats. So we'll see. It is 3:30 p.m. and I forgot to defrost raw food for the cats. So I remembered that I have frozen salmon in my freezer, and the cats have not had any cooked fish in a while. Like, they've had canned cat food made from fish, but they haven't had any freshly cooked fish in a while. So I am making 3 pieces. I figure we could have celebratory dinner with Sammy. When I talked to the vets earlier today, they said just to feed her smaller portions when she gets home. So I'm hoping she likes fresh salmon. Plus, salmon is anti-inflammatory. It's high in omega-3s. So I figure it will be good for her healing also. I'm making 3 pieces because every time I cook fish for the cats, I always underestimate, and I feel like I always make too little. So this time, hopefully I'm making enough, if not too much, and I'll have leftovers. So I'm putting this in my Hot Logic. So all I do is cover the top with foil, stick it in the Hot Logic, zip it up, and plug it in. And it should be ready by the time I get back. I'm probably going to get back around 5:30. Maybe I'll feed the cats, I don't know, sometime between 5:30 and 6. It's going to depend on the traffic. And because it's such a rainy, yucky day, there's going to be more traffic, and the driving is going to be slower than normal. So what I love about these Hot Logics is that they're very forgiving. If I don't get to it in time, it's not going to burn, it's not going to overcook. It'll always just stay like a perfect temperature. It's about 6:30 p.m. right now. I connected the cage and the trap, and I gave her one of the churros just to see if she'll eat that, and I gave her some water, and I'm gonna just let her chill out and just relax, and I'll come back in a little while. I'll see if she ate that. If she did, I'll give her a little bit more food, and if she didn't eat that, I'll see if she wants to eat off the spoon like she did yesterday. It's about 7:30 p.m. and she did not eat any of the food that I put in the bowl. I put a squeeze up, I put a churro in the bowl, and I gave her some water. She didn't touch any of it. I'm feeding her a squeeze up on this little baby spoon through the crate, and she's enjoying it. I can't film it because I want to keep her as much under the covers as possible, so I'm lifting them up just a tiny bit and sticking the spoon in. So I just lifted the cover up too high and she got freaked out, so she's walking very slowly down to this end. Maybe she's laying in the litter box. I'm gonna take a look. I'm just opening up the bottom only like an inch or 2. Okay, so she doesn't want to eat anything, but she's resting and she looks okay. So I took most of the salmon and tuna that I was going to feed her, and I dropped it into the food bowl from the top of the trap. And so hopefully she'll remain calm and we'll see what happens. Hopefully tonight will be a nice quiet night. Also, I put a gate back on the door because some of the other cats are way too interested and they are like banging on the door. At least they were last night. Here's Boo. So that'll keep them from trying to put their paws under the door and, making the door move and bang. Thank you for watching this Lucky Ferals video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you'd like me to post more videos, and please make sure to check out these other videos that were selected especially for you.